Namaste. And now today the focus is going to be on moving in the direction of headstand. And we are going to do that in a way that does not aggravate the heat of Pitta, because of course turning upside down and having the head on the ground can be very heating to the body. We're going to do it in a way that does not produce anxiety to a Vata, because of course going upside down, being on an inversion, especially if the technique is not there, can seem very overwhelming. And we're going to do it in a way that entices the kapha to actually go into the engagement that is necessary for them to feel more invigorated. So I provide the waterfall, and then I'm going to ask you to get one or two balls. Like the racquetball is a good one, tennis ball is a good one too. Any ball like about the size of your hand would be wonderful. Or you can just pretend that you have that space there and then prepare again for another time that you're doing the practice. And just your yoga mat, as you see here, I have mine folded twice so that it's a little bit more gentle on the ground that I'm in. You may just want your yoga mat flat. Okay, so let's begin. We are going to start in a bit of an active kind of a way, because this is an engaging practice. And to do that, I'm going to invite you to come into your hands and knees. Making sure that the knees are directly below the hips and the wrists are directly below the shoulders. And just finding your alignment here of the spine between the two shoulders and the two hips. And you may want to stretch one leg back, and then as you do your best to really engage that back knee, and then the other leg. Stretch it, really engage through the knee. Maybe for you, it will be interesting to do this a few more times. We're going to move on with the next one if it's appropriate for you already. You may need a bit more of a warm-up, so be kind to yourselves or be wise with your bodies. Take the arm like so, forearm position, and the focus here is on really pressing down through this part of the wrist, okay? So we're going to press down through this part of the wrist, really press down into the forearms, and we're going to begin to soften a little bit the back part of the shoulders by, again, straightening out one leg back, and then here moving forward as if you're going to kiss the ground in front of you, and stretching back. Moving forward like you're going to kiss the ground in front of you, and stretching back. Doing your best to maintain the engagement of that straight leg while keeping both shoulders and both hips aligned as you did when you're in that tabletop position. And then go ahead and switch legs. Reaching out back, engage that back knee, so that means really lifting up the top of the thigh onto that femur bone, and then stretching it forward and back. Just loosening up that upper back between the shoulder blades, warming it up and loosening it up, because this part of the body is actually going to become the feet, right? What you're standing on. And then some of you may feel like repeating this version one more time. And some of you may want to come up through the hips a little bit more. So this will be the other variation. Again, really emphasizing pressing down through this part of the arm. Okay? Pressing down. And then coming up through the hips, both knees can stay bent. In fact, I encourage that. Both knees bent, lift the hips way up, soften between the shoulder blades. And now again, reach one leg back, really engage that leg, really straighten that leg, moving forward like you're gonna kiss the ground in front of you and stretching it back. A couple more times. And switching sides. So one leg is bent, one leg is straight, but both hips are aligned. That's really helpful. Both shoulders are aligned. Leg is engaged. A few times back and forth. Maybe two more. One more. And then back down. So now you may be feeling like the upper body is warmed up a bit. The legs have warmed up a bit. So let's go ahead and give ourselves a chance to take a break from that, go into something a little bit lighter, but that is also very important. And that is the positioning of the hands when you go into handstand, or headstand, I should say. And also that we take the opportunity to awaken the feet a bit here. When the feet are more awake, everything functions better. So we're going to place one ball underneath one of your feet. And we're going to use that to massage the feet. Okay? So I'm right at the sole of the foot now, but definitely go up into the mounts between the toes, or any area that you find that is a little bit sensitive, and put your weight into that. And then with this ball, we are going to set up for the hand position that you want for your headstand. So we're going to place the ball between the hands, and then we're going to clasp those fingers all the way to the webbing, and then just release the thumbs there. Okay? So this is the positioning of the hands, and really pressing into that outer edge of the wrist. So let's just go ahead and take the hands back for a moment, and let's invite the head to release off of the neck. So you're lifting the head up off of the neck, and continue to massage the foot. So encouraging the head to rise and decompress a bit from that weight that it just drops with gravity onto the neck, and then which drops with gravity onto the shoulders. And then we wonder why we have such heavy shoulders sometimes, right? All those worries in the mind dropping down into the shoulders. So this is a opportunity to, metaphorically speaking, but also literally speaking, lifting that off of us. And then let's go ahead and let that go for a moment. And let's just stand in Tadasana and notice the difference between the 2 feet. And the sounds you hear, imagine the nourishment of this waterfall being near you, cooling you off from all the efforts so far. Cooling you off. It's all right for a Pitta dosha to do headstand. You just don't want to move into it with too much intensity. They want to move into it with a more playful attitude. And not, of course, and not stay too long in the practice either. All right, let's try the other foot. So now we have just at the arch of the foot, just massaging. And really, when you find those little spots that are really, really tough, spend a little more time there. And then this time, again, the fingers all the way to, they cross all the way to the webbing. Okay, and then the ball is just a reminder that you want to keep some space between the hands. And as you keep that space between the hands, the thumbs just fall. And then let's place the hands this time exactly where you will when we move in the direction of headstand. Okay? So in other words, the upper arm, the outer wrist, and the top of the head will be in contact with the ground. But that lift that you were doing earlier with the, or just a moment ago, with the head coming off of the shoulder, off of the neck, being liberated, although it's in contact with the ground, is still playing its role. So just breathing here, imagining that you are upside down in this shape. And giving your feet some love. So one beautiful thing of inversions of any kind is that you reverse that excess dumping onto the ground through your feet, right? So the legs, circulation, everything, the fatigue, it accumulates there. For a Kapha individual in particular, the edema or the any inflammation of the legs, that gets reverted, right? So such a good practice for a Kapha person as well, especially because it does require some engagement from the core, from the torso. All right, so then let's just come into Tadasana once more. Notice how both sides feel. Hopefully you're more even. Both feet are more connected to the ground and also lighter. Yeah, that's the experience that working the feet, giving the feet some love provides. A deeper connection, yet lighter. So we really want to be awake in our feet. And then let's place the hands and then envision ourselves in the actual pose, inverted. So this is where a Vata may just want to stay for a while if the idea of going upside down is a bit overwhelming. Just being in this position, imagining themselves inverted, knowing that the ground has got you, because it does. Look, you're standing up. And then the head is just all tucked in there. It's got this little nest to rest on. Yeah? All right, so some of you may come all the way up into the complete pose, but some of you will develop the roots. So just appreciating where you are right now, and we'll just take it step by step. You can set the ball away. But again, when you do your hand, imagine that ball there between the hands and the lightness and awakeness of your feet. So we'll start with just the roots, and then some of you will move further. Most definitely you may want to watch this first if it's your first time. I would highly recommend you do that. But otherwise, follow along. So back to that forearm position, but this time we're going to clasp the hands like we did before. And then we're going to rest the head in that little pocket that we created. And then we're going to draw the hips up like we did earlier, really pressing down through the forearms and the tops of the wrists, lifting the hips up, bending the knees as much as we need to do that. And then just hugging one knee into the chest. And notice how that other foot may become lighter as you do that. Hug one knee, may become lighter. And you can do this a few times just to connect the core. Or you may feel like, oh, one foot comes off. And then you can just stay here for a bit. Lift the hips up. Maybe bring the knees all the way up. Move in the direction of bringing the knees up. And then if you need to, bring it back down, but you're still close to ground. And if your knees are up and you feel like straightening the legs, you go for it. And then from there, you want to come back as you went in, bending the knees and slowly bringing yourselves back down. Reaching the arms forward. Taking a pause there. And then from here, if you do have the two balls near, then it would be wonderful to use them to release the back of the neck a little bit. Okay, so you can place the balls right about here and roll with it like you did with your feet. And that's a wonderful way to pause in between tries, because you don't want to be, of course, practice will make better, right? So the more you engage in this practice, the more often you play with this, the easier it will be for you to get those hips up to the level of the shoulders and to extend the legs out. But if the upper body is fatigued, if there's tension, if you're no longer breathing as well, that's going to be very difficult. So having little breaks in between a full practice is a way to, again, bring that nourishment of the water and cool us off. And then, of course, possibly coming back to it as many times as you still have the strength and the stamina to do so. A Kapha person, I encourage actually to come back to this little play that we just did 4 or 5 more times. For a Vata, so that they don't get worn out, maybe once more. But then do it again tomorrow and do it again the next day and the next day. Because routine for Vatas is so beneficial, right? Even though you don't really want the routine, it's something that you will appreciate as you get more and more into. So let's go ahead and do a little bit of that massage, and then I'll leave you to continue with that, a little bit more of the massaging, or then coming back to the practice again on your own. Okay? So again, you're going to place it between the shoulder blades. And then you can bring the head up, off of the neck, off of the shoulders like you've been doing, and then roll. Now you may find a spot right away that wants more of your care and attention, so you stay there. Then you can even roll side to side. Clothing seems to get in the way, so doing this without clothes, if appropriate where you are, then by all means pick that choice instead. So I will leave you to roll on your own for a little while longer. I will leave you to engage in the practice a couple of more times, just remembering the head is on the ground, but the upper arm is so strong, is so sturdy, that it can lift the head off the ground. So the head is lightly on the ground. And then just drawing one knee in, drawing the other knee in. Maybe if the one foot comes off, then you invite the other to come off, and so on. Thank you for joining me. Namaste.